Welcome to Keith and the Girl. I'm Keith Malley.
And I'm Betsy's Helmuth. Awesome. Nailed it. That's how you do a professional podcast, everybody. With a
Well, you,
concussion.
you you were trying to make a joke, but your buddy wouldn't let you do it and say you're Betsy Helmuth's husband. You're like,
I'm
I'm my
Betsy
own
Helmuth.
person. It's not funny enough to for all that. Jack Helmuth is here. How you doing, Jack?
I'm concussed, but I'm good. How are you?
You're more a writer than a cast member. That's the thing. Well, Jack, you know Jack. First of all, what's his biggest credits? He wrote for the show McEnroe for 3 months, and so
That's
we're all pleased to see him.
that's the big one. That's it. Everyone stops me on the streets and wants to know what the TV show on a financial news network hosted by a tennis star was like.
The what was he like to work with? Is he as ball busting as he seems on the court?
100%.
He's real,
Absolutely. What you see, what you think he is real.
right?
He's lovely and warm, but also like, he grew up, he sort of lost that last bit of childhood with his tennis training
Right.
and then was a late teenager and spent his 20s in Europe playing in tennis matches. So he has no cultural references. You could say like, "Man, you look like a
Mm.
Wookiee today." And he'd be like, "What the fuck is a Wookiee?" but if you want to talk about Ukrainian artists, like he'd be like, "Well, I have some opinions on that."
Right. The podcast also of Jack's, if you want to check it out, questionable material,
With
and,
Jack and Brian.
and with Jack and Brian, and you play Jack. And yesterday I was talking about these SNL specials. You know, there's been like 18 specials to celebrate the 50 years. They're kind of hard to find on Peacock if you don't know what you're looking for. The music special isn't the big music special. That's the homecoming special. That is not the 50th anniversary special, and that has nothing to do with the docu series that's 4 seasons long about the history of SNL and what it's like to write. But anyway, I
That's right.
saw them all, and I was talking about them yesterday. And Betsy said, "Hey, Jack was hearing me listen to your show, and he's like, I have some thoughts. I wrote for that show for 3 years. We're gonna get to some hot goss. I want to hear all the fucking dirt. I
Right.
somehow there's got to be things even 18 hours of SNL specials didn't tell me. I bet I'm
Yeah, we
right.
yeah, there's some things we could talk about that I think you will be entertained by.
Excellent. Thank you very much. First of all, though, you were recovering when you did hear the show the other day. So I don't know what all you're able to take in because you had a concussion
Yes, and still do.
and you
I
and you got it from skiing.
No, I wish I was that manly. No, I got it from inner tubing.
Inner tubing. Okay, I think she didn't want to say because I did not read her text saying inner tubing.
Yeah, I take my kids tubing because they don't know how to ski, so we go tubing. We're going down these tubing runs, just these like straight lanes, just down a
Right,
little hill at a ski place, it's a ski resort in
right,
Massachusetts. But so we're going down these things, and the lanes of the tubing thing to keep the tubers separate so they don't
sure,
crash into each other, are made up of snow and ice. Well, as you know, Keith, we've had a lot of moisture getting frozen
yeah.
over and over again here in the last few weeks, and it was just a wall of ice. So I'm going down about
Yeah.
25 miles an hour, trying to be aerodynamic, racing my daughter. The tube spins and smashes my head
On the
into the
side.
side of
Fuck.
the ice. And I mean, I'm telling you, it was like your head hitting cement at 25 miles an hour.
I was at a water park. First of all, I don't know. Is it how tall are you?
6'1".
Is it height related? I'm 6'2", and dude, there's so many fucking dents in my head. I have a filter on Zoom so people can concentrate on my words. It's fucking it's crazy.
Yeah. Yes, it's that. I mean, the speed, also my being overweight also helped me get some momentum.
I see. Now I was at a water park and it was like this, and this fucking quote ride. It's a giant V, and you're on your tube, and then you just go down, and then you go back up, and I smacked my fucking head on. But and these kids, they're kids. They don't know what
Yeah.
to do. They're just like, ooh, next, boy. I was at the same water park, I think. I don't know. My brain was nuts. And I'm going down a slide, and there's that bar, like I guess you hold on to before you sit down. I
Yeah.
smack my head on that. Then this kid goes,
Oh.
"Oh, that's gotta hurt." I'm like, "Yeah." Anyway, I'm not walking down all those steps back, so here we go.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Yeah, that's.
They're
I
not
mean,
trained.
your head looks quite beautiful, though, if you don't mind my saying.
I'm using a Vaseline filter that Barbara Walters never even thought of. Okay, so
Oh my gosh.
yeah. Yeah.
The boys at ILM created that Vaseline
Yes.
filter.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. Let's see here. So you heard the last show that
Yes,
Keith and the girl put out.
I enjoyed it.
Did you hear? So you heard the fake fight between me and my girlfriend, who was like, "I actually don't like watching a Severance with you, even if I was." Did anything spark anything in you in your relationships, communication? What were you thinking?
Well, it very much did. It's a source of we've been married. Betsy and I have been married for almost 15 years. We met
Okay,
15 years ago, and there may be nothing more that I would wish that could change, even more than just having wild sex parties all the time,
sure.
than finding. And again, I want to stress sex parties would be one, actually. Let's do
Hmm.
sex parties one, but two would be finding shows that we could sit and watch together because she likes just reality TV, 90 Day Fiance, the Six Wives, all
Right.
that stuff. And I hate it. I'm a writer. I want to be entertained. I want to laugh. I want to
Little
be challenged
thought.
with the story.
Yeah.
Yes. And she would never watch a movie again and be fine with it.
I see, right. I found out Love is Blind. They're not actually blind. And I'm like, who gives a shit? But Liz loves it. What are you going to do?
Yeah, exactly.
But I didn't have to. You can have your thing. I didn't have to watch this. Why didn't you tell me earlier? And I have fun watching it with you, but without watching it with you, I actually hate this show, Severance, because I don't think it's going anywhere again. But now I'm just stuck halfway.
Well, yeah, it's important to be able to compromise, to be like, it's okay that I spend some time with you watching a show I don't love, but that we can still
I
talk
love
about
you.
experience. I love you.
Yes.
Exactly.
I wasn't shitting on the show as we're typing like bullshit. I'm making myself get into it, and I did, and now we know, like, okay, if it's something complicated like this or Game of Thrones, and she already saw seasons before we met, then take it and have it. But she does have to say, because it gets confusing. One of her favorite movies as a kid was Boondock Saints. And
Wow.
I never got into that. And I for whatever reason, I didn't find it. I found it fairly recent. I'm like, you actually have a tattoo that was half inspired by that movie. About equality. One of the guys has the Celtic word, and so I'm like, I'd like to see this movie with you. And she's like, okay, but I don't know how you're gonna like it, whatever. So it's horrible. But and she's like, yeah, I can see it's horrible too. I was a kid, but then I'm like, I have this completion problem where I'm like, let's see Boondock Saints 2. And she never saw that. And she's like, I don't even know if I want to. I don't know if I want to ruin the whatever. But we
Right.
end up seeing it, and I'm a good sport, and I'm not shitting on something that, is important to her. So I know how to play along. So that's why this TV show specifically was shocking, and she just needs to be clear. So, does somebody have to be wrong in an argument? Yes. Is it her? Of course.
Of course it is. And look, if you need me to be the one to
Thank you.
break up with her for you, like, I'll make that call. I will do that for you because this is like, it's over, just so you know.
Right. Catherine Heller's like, but do you still love her? I'm like,
I,
well, it's
I,
not real, this thing, but it's just a bummer. That's all.
it
No,
is a
I mean,
bummer.
I watch shit. I just watched all of Cobra Kai. Okay. Don't act like I don't debase myself. Online, by the way, I guess it found the algorithm, but I heard Mr. Miyagi's, he's dead now, of course, but I heard his real voice. He was in an interview, and it's very proper English. And,
Yeah,
but he's like, so I just thought of this voice. I can't tell you how. And I went, Daniel-san, waxo, waxo. And that's how it came to me. And I'm like, holy fuck, I didn't know that. Okay.
I didn't know that either until
He's
you
a real
just told me.
actor.
That's
Yeah.
cool. That's very cool.
Some quick news. An asteroid might hit Earth in blah, blah, blah time. So, okay, finally some good news. This God of ours. What do you? I mentioned this idea the other day, but there's another. By the way, there's another plane crash just yesterday. Two
I know.
planes hit each other, but the plane that turned upside down and blew up. People are saying, "Oh, God intervened, thank goodness," and I'm like, "Motherfucker, God did it so that He could show up and go, look what I did." Hey, I stopped your truck from going over the bridge. Yeah, but I saw you push it in the rearview
Yeah,
mirror.
exactly.
Oh my god! So he's doing this asteroid. Then he's gonna like blow it away last minute.
Yep.
Don't forget to pray. The in the Vatican, they put out a statement about Pope Francis, who has pneumonia in both his lungs, 88 years old,
Oof.
and said he gives thanks to the closeness he feels at this moment at the Vatican about the Pope and asks with a grateful heart that we continue to pray for him. I saw this piece of shit conclave. If there's not enough prayers in that place,
Yeah,
what the fuck am I gonna do? Now it's on
seriously.
me if you get sick.
They're preying on like piles of gold and art.
Yes. Right.
Just
There's not a Bible passage about that.
and yeah, I mean, like, yeah, the God doesn't want to hear my opinions on the Pope.
Right. These bullshit televangelists on TV that talk about the end of the world, they must be raking it in right now, right? When you talk about all this ice going on, did you see in Detroit? There was a flood in Detroit. A 54 inch water main break caused extensive flooding in the city, and then because of the weather, it all froze.
Oh,
So picture like, you've seen floods. We've had floods here in New York. Now picture that's all ice. Crazy. Up the cars covered in ice.
oh, so it covered up cars even?
Yeah, like three-fourths of your car. You see the top hoods in
Oh,
ice. I don't know
wow.
how when it melts. I assume it would take the windows with it, but I don't know.
Holy Lord. Well, good. Well, just what the city of Detroit needs is a boon
Right.
in the auto parts.
Right. Fuck your cars if you have any left. Yeah, two people dead after two small aircrafts collided in Arizona, a Cessna and a Landcare, close to Marana Regional Airport. These were fixed wing, single engine planes. I don't know about you. I think all wings should be fixed. Right?
We're never going to see eye to eye on this, Keith.
Jesus Christ. How many bird epidemics are there? Holy fuck.
That's insane. Oh my gosh. Yeah, there are
Uh,
way too many of these. Like, I take such comfort because I unfortunately have to fly a lot. I say unfortunately because I'm away from my kids, which I like
right.
being around them. And I take so much comfort in the fact where it's like, yeah, man, plane crashes don't happen. That was like the '80s,
Yeah.
and now not anymore.
Yeah, like dying birds. You living in New York City, maybe you know this more than I do because I don't have a car. Trump just stopped New York City from charging a $9 toll to drive into the city. He stopped this congestion pricing. What I knew of it, I was not a fan, and it doesn't affect me personally. But there are places in this city that where you don't live necessarily close to a subway. So take a subway instead of driving in. You are walking, and you are walking in sketchy fucking places on sketchy fucking subways, and when you see these stories about shootings and people being set on fire in subways, sometimes those are your nicer places.
Yeah.
So, so if you have lupus, I know a specific story. Maybe you walk funny. You don't want to be doing it in some of these neighborhoods. And it really feels like it was just punishing the poor where the rich can afford $10 a day. But that's going to fucking add up for most people. Now, then Trump says we're going to get rid of that bullshit. And now I don't know how I feel. Did I miss something?
Yeah, well, it's so funny, Keith. It's we talked to you. You mentioned in your last episode, you name checked me for having worked at the Nightly Show with Larry Wilmore,
Yes.
and I distinctly remember there was a Sarah Palin was on Fox News giving some sort of interview about someone was doing something to her daughter. They were covering her daughter in a like sort of getting invasive in her, not like when she was like doing her podcast, but like someone had really crossed a line with her daughter in a way that it was actually she was right.
Right.
And our writers all came in. Oh, Sarah Palin thinks this, and with all their hot pitches about just because automatically we think it's on Fox News, so therefore we must hate what is being said,
Right.
and it must not be true. And it's just factually and statistically not possible. Some things every once in
Something
a
has to,
while,
right? Take, right.
like Trump wants to get rid of daylight savings time, supposedly. Yeah, good.
Sure.
Daylight savings
Yeah.
time sucks. That's great. Like, not everything. 99% of everything he's going to say is going to be
Right.
crazy and horrible and awful. And for the rich, every once in a while he's going to get one right. And I think that's all this is.
Yeah, that's all this is. But you know what? Somehow he finds a way to ruin even this. Then he tweets out congestion pricing is dead. Manhattan and all of New York is saved. Long live the king. No exaggeration. Jesus Christ.
Of course he did. Of course he did. And by the way, that my saying that wasn't. I was actually. It is my opinion, but it is what Larry told our writers. He's like, look, guys, like we're not going to just turn off our brains when we hear this stuff. We're not going to
Right.
just do that thing. We're going to like look at everything with some level of lens, of course, of skepticism, but not just pure hatefulness. And I
Right.
always respected Larry for that, like because it's easy to go down that route, especially in comedy. Like let's just make a bunch of Sarah Palin jokes and call it a day. Like I'm
Right.
down for that. It pays the bills.
What were your thoughts, by the way, when I brought up Larry Wilmore and I said, what am I going to teach Larry what comedy is? But he tweeted out, "Hey, SNL, when you do this section of sketches that we shouldn't have done because they were racist or made the joke about child molestation, he's like, don't take down that Chevy Chase and what's
Richard
his
Pryor.
and Richard Pryor cracker N-word sketch. It's powerful and it's important." And it's like, dude, it was a trick. So they actually replayed the whole sketch of that and little clips of other shit, like Alec Baldwin, doing a Boy Scout molestation joke. So they weren't court ordered to do that. They
Mhm.
did do it. They found an excuse to show it to you again, and good. What were your thoughts when you heard that?
I completely agree with Larry.
Okay.
I think it's erasing the past is a fool's game. We learn from the mistakes
But
by
how are they erasing the past? They showed it again.
right. You show it again by acknowledging the past. And so I would say the point of the sketch, written by a black person, just like
Sure.
all the stuff in Blazing Saddles, Richard Pryor, speaking of Richard Pryor and this type of thing, Richard Pryor wrote all of the racial stuff in Blazing Saddles. So when they're dropping the N word and all that stuff in Blazing Saddles, all written by Richard Pryor because Mel
Right.
Brooks knew that he couldn't quite find that thing, and they sort of found that sketch written by a black guy,
Paul
um,
Mooney, right?
by Paul Mooney. Thank you. I couldn't remember the name. I was so embarrassed. Paul Mooney wrote the sketch, and look, there was a truth to it. It's edgy in a way that's not like trying to necessarily be edgy. It had a point to it. It talks about racial tension in a way like, well, we got to be able to talk about it, and we also have to be able to joke about it. And I have no problem with it whatsoever.
Did you take it like SNL was really apologizing?
It's funny. Uh
Because when they start, they would show like, let's say Alec Baldwin and who's that fucking dude? Adam
Sandler.
Adam Sandler, thank you. And they rate on it why it's wrong, child molestation. Like, so they're saying, but they're not really, because they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't want to remind you they made a joke about child molestation.
Well, I mean, I think they are sort of owning up to it. Like, whoops, our bad. Like 50 years, we're going to get some stuff wrong. The culture has changed. Our norms have changed. Our standards have risen, hopefully. In some cases, we've gone backwards. We can't say or do certain things on TV that we could even do in the 70s. So it is an interesting conversation to be had. Um, I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
Okay. Okay. I mean, they showed it, so either way, they showed it.
Yeah, what's interesting about it is at the beginning of that sketch, before you close with that, the most famous racial sketch on the history of Saturday Night Live,
Right.
one of the first things that they said for racial stereotypes, they had Greek guys. They had Tom Hanks playing like, I'm a Greek guy.
Right.
And I don't know, was talking about heroes and whatever it was. It's just a silly, Tom Hanks is not Greek, but he played a Greek guy. Then Dana Carvey and those guys, sexual molestation and ethnic stereotyping as they play these sort of
Corny
stereotypical
waiters. Yeah.
corny Italian waiters. Now, can you make jokes about Italians being sexually harassed, having a long history of sexually harassing women? If you go to Italy, you're going to get catcalled. You're going to have old guys, playing checkers or marbles or whatever on a table, and you're going to get catcalled. That's part of that culture. If you make fun of that culture, you have to show some of that stuff. Is it just an excuse to be dirty and to make jokes, or is it an opportunity to shine light through comedy at a problem?
I think, however you look at it, I think, and maybe I'm just repeating myself now, they weren't apologizing.
Okay.
That's what I think. But anyway, yeah,
Well,
they showed the whole skit, so who gives a fuck? You're welcome. You know?
yeah.
Oh well. Let's see here. I do want to talk about all this shit. Oh, by the way, speaking of the president and cutting all these different programs and et cetera, et cetera, but it's being said, at least Elon is hinting, supposedly with all the money they're saving by closing all these important programs, we're going to get a check for $5,000, the regular American people.
Really?
That'll calm people down, I guess, right?
Sure would. Well, I mean, Trump already has a 54% approval rating, so
Okay.
people in our sphere and our lives in our bubble are freaked out. There is an optimism in a lot of the country that is kind of a wave of optimism that I think we're not seeing or hearing.
Okay.
Toss $5,000 into it, and it's like people are going
Yeah.
to be like,
You know, maybe Zelensky did start the war. I don't fucking know. Cha-ching. Did you see
"That's
or
funny,
hear
dude."
about on the White House Instagram and tweeted out ASMR deportation flight, they called it. This is real. This is from the White House. And it was ASMR is that sexy shit, you know. Unzip your pants. And but they did that thing to shackles being on the ground, to them
Oh,
getting on an airport being deported. Like sick shit.
that is, it's one thing to have a some level of you can feel that whatever way you want about that issue.
Right.
To do a touchdown dance and to do stuff like that shows it the inhumanity that your critics think you have, and fuck you.
And it's supposed to be funny, like haha, you know, and but
Ugh.
and us snowflakes can't handle it. Meanwhile, just the other day, I was saying how people got upset at Tom Hanks, you know, is a MAGA character that was nervous about shaking a black man's hand on Black Jeopardy. It's like, okay,
And that's another thing, Keith, that drives me absolutely crazy. It's people once again not understanding the point of the comedy, not understanding the point of the sketch. That character, especially in the original Black Jeopardy that aired that when Tom Hanks was on it,
right.
was the best piece of political satire of the last decade,
I
in the
can
last
agree.
10 years, because it showed all the noise around race is just sometimes noise. This was written by Michael Che, black man.
Okay.
Sometimes it's just noise. And maybe what it is a thing that people use to divide us. And maybe we're all the black contestants and the Tom Hanks hick actually have the same beliefs, the same problems, and the same needs. And they've just been conditioned to dislike each other. And in fact, it's a class issue and not a race issue. Whether you agree with it or don't, that is a smart fucking take. It is a take, it is a point of view, and it was chock full of jokes. I urge people to go watch Tom Hanks' Black Jeopardy, and people don't even understand that that is almost showing that character in a sympathetic light.
Yes, agreed. It is. Yes. Yes. By the way, before we get to the SNL stuff, somehow came up while I was doom scrolling, and it was an old awards show with Steve Martin and Alec Baldwin. They're hosting together,
Yep.
and they make it. And one of them says, "Anyone who's ever worked with Meryl Streep always ends up saying the exact same thing. What's up with all the Hitler memorabilia?" And of course, that's funny at the time because it makes no fucking sense. And
That's
Meryl
funny.
Streep of all people, but now it's totally different. You can't make that joke because who the fuck knows?
Oh
You know?
no. Oh no. Oh
Who
my
knows?
god.
You can't if you go, oh, there's a blah blah blah, and he loves Hitler. It's like maybe now he does. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a weird one.
All right, let me ask you some stuff about being a writer. You were there from when?
1997 to 2000.
Who are some of the stars we would know? Some of the cast members.
Let's see. Jimmy Fallon, Will Ferrell, Anna
Let's stop
Gastein.
right there. Jimmy Fallon. I was saying the other day, uh, like he seems like a try hard to me, and it's hard to explain because you are the host, you are the entertainer. That is your job to be the best. But I don't know if it's just something in his eyes that show nervousness or what, but he's really fucking extra and to me. And I don't know what it is that feels weird about it. And I would hear him on Howard Stern, and I'm like, dude, calm down. Fucking, there's a conversation going on. And Howard would call it out, but not pick on him, but be like, he loves to entertain, Howard would say. And I'm like, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
He's definitely game for this. And it's almost a wink to the audience. What's it like working with Jimmy? And why is every sketch that he does with somebody on his talk show involved drinking?
All right, two parts. I'll take part one
Okay.
very much first. Okay. What is it like working with Jimmy? I was already there 1 year when Jimmy started. Jimmy and I are 2 weeks apart in age. For people who are watching, you'd be shocked to know that I'm the younger of the two.
It's just the eyeglasses.
Thank you. That's all it is. So Jimmy and I are basically the same age. he starts at this point. I'm not a writer. I'm Steve Higgins' assistant. And then I start writing jokes for Update. At this point, I'm Steve Higgins' assistant. Jimmy starts, whatever. He gets me a slice of pizza. He goes out and he's a cast member, and he's like, he wants to make sure to bring me a slice of pizza, just as a new guy, just a nice guy. Okay,
Okay.
he's a nice guy, nice. Jimmy and I would. This doesn't quite talk about maybe. Well, maybe this shows his a bit much character.
Okay.
This is a pretty good story. Vince Vaughn was hosting, and Jimmy and I would do this bit. Jimmy and I had this bit together where it's very immature. We were 24 years old at the time. We would see each other in the hallway, and based on whoever was looking at each other the most stern or aggressive, we knew would be the aggressor, and we would go over and like beat each other, like beat the other one up, mush their face into the carpet, dry hump them, and then run off. And so I dry hump them in the hallway and then run off.
Okay.
Real top of your intelligence type of stuff. So we would do this stupid bit again. We're 24 years old. You're just always doing bits. You're always anything to get that energy out, to get the
Right.
flames going at work. That's
Sure.
literally our work life. So Vince Vaughn is hosting. It's the Tuesday night, the super late night writing night, and we do this to each other. And Vince happens to see it. And Vince goes into Steve Higgins' office later that night, around 11:30 at night, and he sees me. And he's like, "Hey, I saw what you did to Jimmy there. That was terrible. I'd hate for that to happen to me. Just a shame." I'm like, "Okay, all right." So I go to Jimmy's office and I say, "Vince Vaughn just said this to me." And he's like, "Dude, he just said the same thing to me." I'm like, "All right, it's on."
Right.
So we go at about 1:30 or 2 in the morning. We go to the big open area, the big writers' room where the
Oh,
big
Jimmy really rapes him. Oh no, Jimmy.
Yeah, oh well. It was the 90s.
Right.
No,
Then it
so
cuts to Rachel Dratch. Wah, wah. And
and
then it's somehow Keenan's there and he just gives that Keenan face.
Jimmy breaks during the middle of his own rape.
Right.
So anyway, so we grab a couple of pizza boxes from like a midnight pizza thing. We go to Chris Kattan's office where Vince Vaughn is in Kattan's office, probably working on some awful sketch. And we
he's, he's just eating apples in weird ways. Like, is this anything?
what if it's a pear? It's my new idea.
He's like,
So
oh, I tried pineapple. Shit.
so we knock on the door. Hey,
Right.
did somebody order a pizza? Vince Vaughn looks up and he's like, oh shit. And Jimmy and I hop on him. And you got to understand, Vince Vaughn, now that we know him as sort of the doughy comedy guy and whatever,
Right.
this was December of 1999. Vince Vaughn was on the cover of GQ. He had just remade Psycho. That's what he was there to.
All
He
right.
was possibly going to be like the hot leading man and not like the comedy doof, right?
Right.
That we know him. So he's like Mr. Hottie on the cover of GQ, all pretty. And so I'm grinding his face into the carpet and I'm humping him and I say, "Oh, Mr. Pretty Boy, oh, on the cover of GQ, you feel so good. You feel so good." It's ridiculous. It's a stupid thing. And we run off and leave him. And for the rest of the week, whenever we see him, like he sort of like tries to avoid us and whatever. And then we decide let's do it again during camera blocking.
Okay.
So we only tell two people we're going to do this: Will Ferrell, who's in the sketch with him, and the director, Beth McCarthy Miller. No one else knows. So it's the full studio, all the crew guys. We get pizza delivery guy outfits, fake mustaches. We do the whole thing. The middle of a sketch, it's the Will Ferrell cat toy sketch. They're rehearsing this. They're about, 4 sentences in. Knock, knock, knock. Did somebody order a pizza? He's like, oh crap. We jump on him, we hit him, we like hump him, and then run off in front of all the crew guys. The feed is like beamed to Burbank. Everyone sees it. This ridiculous thing. Vince Vaughn comes up to me at the after party, kisses me right here, just on the side of the lips, and says, "Thank you. Thank you for just treating me like one of the regular people. Like I needed that. I just, I have so many people now who don't let me have any fun. I needed to be treated that way. Thank you for that."
Okay.
And so that was that's what it's like at SNL. It's just it's that sort of furnace of creativity and silliness and naughtiness and the lesson for me in terms of dealing with talent was like you got to remember they're people too. Like I did a show with Michael Strahan, and
Treat him like that. Don't treat me like a person when I see you again, Jack.
yeah,
Jesus.
no, I would never. Well, I don't know. Now that you're going to
Lord.
be single soon. Um, so it was the same thing with Michael Strahan, where he would mess up a line, and everyone was like, we were at ABC News, and everyone was like, "Oh gosh, oh hi Michael, my Michael," and he'd mess up a line, And my buddy and I, who were doing a show with Michael, would bust his balls. Like, hey, dummy, way to mess
Right.
up that line. And he loved it because he was used to being in a locker room that of having his balls busted, and he loved it. And you just have to remember that talent are people. And Jimmy had that sort of playful energy. I get what you're saying.
But your eyes don't scare me. His do.
I get that. I mean, look, I think it's out there that he certainly likes his drinks. You were right on the episode the other day. He did hurt his finger in
Drunk.
drunk. Frankly, I know the house that he did it in. I know the circumstances and who was there. And yeah, he likes to drink. That's a thing that's out there. But he does treat his staff pretty well. I know
Okay.
a number of those people, and he was nice to my mom, and so
Well,
that's
if he's
sort of
nice to your mom, you should have started with that. The did you watch those specials that were on recently?
yeah. I didn't watch all four retrospectives yet. I've watched some of them. I've certainly watched the SNL 50th.
Is
It's
it
tough for
funny
me.
who's not there? Is it funny that uh, Jimmy Fallon is doing the Blues Brothers, but Dan Aykroyd is still alive? Is it funny that, and I understand Chevy Chase being racist and problematic, but it is funny that as they praise him, he's not in one single sketch in 3.5 hours. Is that funny?
It's notable. It's
Right,
interesting. I mean, is Jimmy doing the Blues Brothers funny? No. Blues Brothers died in 1982 when John Belushi overdosed at the Chateau Marmont.
right.
That's when the Blues Brothers died. So I have no interest in seeing Jimmy Fallon do the Blues Brothers. I don't think that's funny. Um, yeah, not having Dan Aykroyd there hurts. Chevy, to me, it's more of a. I don't think they're chastising because he's a racist. I think he's lost it. I don't think he's funny anymore.
Okay,
You see him and he tries so hard. He's so sweaty. He's just not good with his cues, with his lines, and he's so difficult to work with. Universally reviled. Just even forget all the racist stuff. Just on a peer-to-peer level, just absolutely hated. Absolutely
okay.
hated. And I will tell you a story that will make you happy. I was in Steve Higgins' office with Chevy, the three of us, and Chevy was telling us a story about how when he was playing high school basketball, he was running down the court, slid. There was a wet spot on the court, and he slid and did a split
Oh,
as another player ran by and stepped on and smashed his testicle.
oh my God! Like
It,
for forever,
yes, so that he has. Chevy told me this
he has
that he has.
pancake dick.
Yes, I don't know. I'm sure his dick is wonderful, but he certainly has one pancake ball.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, God works in mysterious ways, right? He got the punishment first.
Yeah, and then did a life of sinning.
Right. When in the was it like bittersweet? Did you want to be there when they do it? When they go now, let's say hi to the Raiders, and they cut to, and I recognize some of these faces, so I assume they were all real Raiders outside in the rain with umbrellas, like they're not allowed in. Is
Yep.
that funny as a Raider? It's
Oh
funny to
yeah.
me.
Oh, it's hilarious.
Okay.
Oh, it's great.
Okay.
It's look like a true comedy writer, and this is actually there's a little bit of a war about in comedy about this sort of thing. But as a pure comedy writer, if it's funny, I don't give a shit.
Right.
Like, yes, make fun of writers all day long, please. It was
Okay.
hilarious.
Meanwhile, do they kiss your ass behind the scenes? Is somebody giving you pizza or literally offering sex? And do you rate for somebody and they're like, "What are you working on?" And you're like, nothing. The blank page." It's tough. What's the dynamics there for writers?
That's a great question. So a couple of things. One, there are certainly lots of people there to get you to keep you fed. So that certainly is an issue. They'll bring you
Literally, that's
pizza.
funny.
Yes, 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 literally. So that is absolutely a thing. Look, the writers are certainly a little bit abused at times at Saturday Night Live. I will give an example. There was a writer. I was in the control room. A writer sitting next to me who had a sketch on. Lorne Michaels came in to give notes to this writer. And these were the notes that he gave to this writer. Well, it was good on Wednesday, and now it's fucking shit. What happened? That was his note to the writer. Like, imagine being at your job, especially in this day and age, but at any point, and being
Yeah.
told, well, that was good once, and now it's fucking shit. What happened?
I don't know. The world happened then, and something changed. I don't fucking know. I didn't touch it.
And it's like, and you got like Saturday Night Live. If you go in sort of a squishy piece of goo and you come out a Marine saber. Like
Right.
you just don't get offended anymore. You don't, your feelings don't get hurt because your feelings will be hurt so much. You'll be so disappointed. You'll have so many guarantees that are taken away from you. You will not have material on for weeks or months at a time, and it will destroy you. You will have so much anxiety that there's nothing that could bother you once you leave Saturday Night Live.
Were cast members cool because they want your words?
Yes, definitely. There's the politics of Saturday Night Live is fascinating. At read through, so there's a big read through every Wednesday of the sketches that you write all night
Right.
Tuesday night. You're at the table on Wednesday with everybody, the cast and host Lauren and one or two other people, all around a table, and then every other department in the show and sometimes in the network are there. You have the writers, the sound crew, the production team, the lawyers, the NBC execs, the everybody is at
Right.
this thing, and you're scoring laughs. And when the host hears a laugh, she or he thinks to themselves like, oh, well, this is doing well in the room, maybe I'll pick it later and it'll be on the show. So writers, there will be cliques of writers who won't laugh at other people's stuff
Oh, this is
because
like Conclave, but more
yeah,
exciting.
yes, it is. And so they'll just sit, even even if it's doing well, just arms crossed, not
Wow.
laughing because like fuck that. Like I haven't gotten a sketch out in 4 weeks. Like fuck that sketch. I've got a shot this week, so I'm not going to laugh at anybody. The politics of when to laugh and laughing at the right things and the right
Have
people.
you ever caught yourself doing that? You're pinching your thighs so that you don't laugh at somebody, another writer.
No, I had people and sketches I would cheer for, and I foolishly made a mistake behind the scenes of showing my emotions uh, in front of like the producers. That was a very stupid thing to do, and
They thought you were kissing ass or playing
no,
games.
no, that I rolled my eyes at a character who I reviled when the audience cheered for them, and
Ah,
a producer was like, "Nope, like don't be that guy." And I thought I was just doing it on my own. No, I love comedy. I want everybody to do well. I truly did not play that game.
do you bring up Lauren talking a certain way, and even on TV specials that they put out or Lauren OKs, they really make Lauren sound like an asshole. And I wonder how much is it true that yes, it's live and it's cutthroat. It sounds like he encourages it. And so many, even just the 50th special alone, new skits they were doing, the Canadians when they were on Weekend Update, and it's like, oh, Lauren, he's the best. Can I tell you something though? I
Yeah,
went
yeah,
to
yeah.
move this motherfucker. He had nothing packed, and he said, "Hey, finish up. I'm gonna get food across the street."
Yeah.
And then there was the great Adam Sandberg video called Anxiety, and it goes through throughout the years of famous sketches, and you see the sketch happening, like maybe even I'm Gumby, damn it, and then Gumby's face all of a sudden turns into bad AI with flames, and he's crazy. And the chorus is if these pipes can talk, meaning toilet pipes. Everybody has IBS that works there because Lauren encourages it.
Yep.
Does he encourage this cutthroat way of working that doesn't need to happen?
Uh,
How
uh,
real is that?
it
Because
is
there's a lot of jokes in quotes.
it's real. Well, look, first I will say that anxiety sketch, the Andy Samberg thing that you mentioned, it was Andy Samberg and Bowen Yang, and then all those
Yes.
old flashes of sketches resonated with me very much. I still to this day, Keith, I will have 1 to 2 SNL dreams a year. It's been
Shit.
23 years since I've worked there, something like that.
Right.
I will still have SNL dreams. I have hosted in my dreams. I have forgotten my lines. I've killed. I've been in elevators with Lauren. I've screwed up. I've gotten into a fight with Tina Fey. Just the it leaves an impact on you that never goes away. Creatively, the scars that you wear, whatever, it makes you better. Like there's a reason why people leave that show and go make The Simpsons and Parks and Rec and The Office and all the best comedy shows that you love over the last 20, 30 years and all, most of the best comedy movies. There's a reason because they are really well trained. They are the funniest people alive, whether the show is good or not. Trust me, they are funny. And I can talk to you about why the shows are or aren't good. Um, they are the funniest people alive. And you have to sort of like it is not a good way to do it. Of course I don't condone that. There is part of me though that I don't use this word lightly because I have known a couple of geniuses in my life. Lauren is a genius. And personally, as a 50-year-old, and people are not going to agree with this, um, there's a level of shit I will take to be around the genius. I will.
Right, but
I'll put up with it.
when they break at weird times, we never know when the show's live. You know, it's like they just announce it all of a sudden, but they can go 2 weeks, and it's not a normal vacation the rest of us get. You know,
Yep.
what if they did it every other week regularly?
Uh, uh, yeah, they could do that. It's a college schedule. So when I got there, I was told, I don't think this is true. I was told that it's basically because Lauren's kid is going off to school and they keep a college schedule, but it's been the schedule for all of time.
Can they
You start
graduate already? These fucking kids? What the fuck?
seriously. You start around late August. You come in to start like writing commercial parodies or whatever, and to get ready for the season, and you end in the second or third week of May. It's a college schedule. So
Yeah,
it's
no,
like
yeah, I hear you, but
they
there's something
could.
they could do if they wanted. But
I,
I think he likes it. I think he likes that all you guys shit weird.
Yes, and he thinks that level of being on pins and needles forces you to bring out a level of the best of you. It's a sense there that this isn't the most efficient way to do things, but it's the way that has always worked, and it's hard to argue with those results. So there is, I think, a little bit of a push and pull. From what I have heard, by the way, it is way nicer and more mellow and much better work environment now than it was 25 years ago, and certainly 35 and 50 years ago, where I've heard horror stories.
When you say SNL toughened your skin,
Yep.
um, even now after all these years, you talk about having the dreams. Does Betsy have to say to you, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! What did you just say? You're not at SNL. Don't rub my face into the carpet when we're making love, by the way." And don't be so caustic around the house. It's not cute. Do you ever have to watch your attitude? Because you can take words that most people can't.
That's interesting. No, I think it just generally people like making fun of me. I mean, I'm blind in one eye, I'm deaf in one ear. I look like I do. I'm a big goofball. People like making fun of me because they know I like it and I can take it, and so I like that sort of thing. I like humor as a healing method. I like the thought of humor, like you're talking about the sketches and ideas and jokes that you can't tell anymore. I like the idea of that sort of old melting pot way of showing love through comedy. Whereas the Irish guy, the Jewish guy,
Yeah,
the
you
black
can
guy.
take it though, but do you ever find out other people can't take it in normal society?
No, I because I can censor myself.
Okay,
I don't push those envelopes. But I like my love language is joke and bit, so that's how I'm always
right.
speaking.
And your wife's dark too, to be clear.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean it. So, but
Yeah,
okay. So as long
and
as you don't take it home in a bad way, that's good.
yeah, I mean, like, look, and our relationship is at the point where it's more rubbing your face in the carpet, not as much making love.
Gotcha. I see, right. Was there a were you single during your 3 years at SNL?
Yes. Well, I met a girlfriend. I met a girlfriend there. Yeah.
You met a girlfriend at work.
Yes.
Okay. Was there sucking and fucking at work? That wasn't even just her. Are people blowing each other all the time? It's
It
kind of
was interesting.
romantic, right? The middle of the night, the city that never sleeps is literally asleep, but you're the bad boys.
We are the bad. There definitely was that. We would do all sorts of. We definitely were naughty, not naughty like they were in the past with the excessive drugs. The drugs while I was there, the hardcore drugs, were in the sort of the mid-level staff. The
Okay.
cast wasn't really doing drugs. They certainly drank a lot, but there's not a lot of hardcore drugs.
As mid-level
So,
staff, the guys that like put up the walls that keep falling over, maybe they could put the drugs down.
no,
The
no.
mustaches that fall off all the time.
Oh gosh, no. God. It's tough what they do with that show.
I know, I
It's
know.
tough. It's so tough. The yeah, no, it's it could be the photography department. It could be the music department. It could be, all those sort of,
Right.
Lorne's people. There's a row of assistants. He has like four assistants in a row. There's a rumor that one is just there to buy presents for other people.
Okay. Is it do Raiders get Lorne's air more than a EAR more than a cast member would, and is that cool?
No, a cast member would get way more.
Oh yeah.
I know writers who were absolutely afraid to ever talk to him, so intimidated by him. Cast members had a little bit more of that cachet, where it's
Okay.
like you are the face, you're on talk shows, you have to be that way. And just I do want to honor your sucking and fucking thing. Just to go back,
Thank you.
I can't think of too much. I know of two cast members who were second. That I can't say.
Okay.
But I will say there was the yeah, actually I can think of, yeah, there was a little bit, there was a nice mid-level, probably a normal amount of sucking and fucking. um Not necessarily inappropriate, not like, a cast member and an intern, much
Right.
more sort of in the
But a
appropriate.
cast member behind their wife's back?
Sure.
Sure. That's fucking Hollywood, baby.
I will give you an
You don't
example.
always have to come home at 5 a.m.
Yeah,
Let's
that's
be
right. Yeah,
honest.
yeah. We broke at 10:15.
Right.
Um, there was a sexual harassment seminar sign up sheet at the front desk of SNL, and a very famous female writer and cast member walked by it and looked at it and read the sexual harassment sign up sheet there. She reached over the front desk, grabbed a Sharpie, and drew the biggest dick and balls you've ever seen. I mean, it had hairs coming out of all the balls. Just a like, fuck you. We're not going to go to a sexual harassment seminar. And again, this is a woman. This is
Right.
what it was like. I tell these stories just to be like, this is what it was
Sure.
like back then, and or at SNL, whatever that sort of combo is.
It is funny. Good for Tina.
I never said that.
No, no, I didn't say nothing. I didn't say nothing either. When you mentioned real quick, are there, you could say why some sketches are good and bad.
Yep.
What did you mean by that?
Well, I
Because
don't.
I mean,
Well,
I can too, but they were written bad.
they were written bad. The host has a surprising amount of power to choose the sketches they want to appear in. So you've got 45 to 50 sketches that you read a week. About 13 go to dress, maybe about 9 make air, something like that.
Right.
So that is 40-ish sketches that never see the light of day. Not all of them are bad. Some of them are fucking awesome. But let's say a host is coming in and wants to play against type. Maybe it's maybe
Somebody playing a
Beyonce's in,
Rastafarian, but they're white.
right, exactly. Beyonce playing a demure little church girl.
Right.
Mina Savari playing a Staten Island baggage handler, so she could do a silly accent. Sometimes it's just driven by the things that our host, our guest wants to do, and we will allow them that sort of leeway in that playground to do that. Okay, you want to do the Staten Island sketch? Okay, well then let's do the Staten Island sketch, even though it sucks. It's like,
Right.
well, our host wants to do that. So it's there's a lot more dynamics than just these are the 13 we think, or the 9 that we think are the best. It's not always the
Right.
9 that we think are the best.
Does a host ever pick somebody's sketch? You know it's horrible, but they think they look cool in it, so they pick it. And then you go to the writer that wrote it and be like, "Why'd you even write that in the first place?" And they're like, "I just didn't have anything, and I had to turn something in. I didn't know they'd pick it."
Yes, and there was the most famous example of this when Drew Barrymore hosted. We had a ridiculous sketch called Cat Show, where it was Anna and Will, I think, or maybe it was Molly and Will. Yes, Molly and Will doing
Clap, clap. I can't
Cat
hear you,
show.
but
Oh, you can't hear clap. So dot
dog
dot
show.
dot 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 dog show.
Yes.
And so little dogs, big dogs, just the stupidest like filler, like we got to hand something in sketch
Right.
that they did as on a lark. They wrote Will and Molly wrote this like on a lark and put it in. They chose it. And Will and Molly came out of the room like with their faces like red and laughing, and they were going to everybody. They chose it. Like what the fuck?
Right.
They chose it. Like a joke, a sketch that was just like absolutely, they had no intention of going to air. Drew chose, and it became a slight recurring bit.
Did, could people say to the host? Do they say to have the balls to say to the host, "No, we can't do this idea"? Like I picture Steven Seagal being like, "So people are gonna come in and I beat them all up." Okay, and then what happens? Nope, that's it.
Oh,
Are you guys able to say no to a host?
yes. Obviously, talent relations is a very, very, very important
Okay.
and a dicey, political, loaded type of thing. I swear to God, I was once told to leave a room where Jackie Chan was about to screen a sketch because he can't read English, so we couldn't do the cue cards.
Oh,
So he
okay.
had to memorize all of his parts of the sketches. So we had to
Okay.
show him a videotape of a sketch, and I have a distinct loud laugh. And Marcy Klein looked at me in the room that Jackie was about to walk in. She's like, I want you to leave. Your laugh is going to scare Jackie.
Mm. Was it a laugh in a good way or bad way? I'm at comedy shows sometimes and I laugh in the bad way, unfortunately.
I well, Yes, I totally know what you're talking about. Mine is in the good way. I
Okay.
like to laugh. I don't like, oh, I do comedy so I can't laugh at anything. Fuck that. Like it's all supposed to be a joyful thing.
Have
So
you ever had
it's a real
this
laugh.
watching
Yeah.
stand up and kind of knowing where most jokes are going to go? I'll see stand up and I hear the setup and I'm like, I fucking get it. And I start laughing. And then the
Yes.
audience members in front of me turn around, look at me like, Nothing happened, dumb fuck." Then they do the punchline and everybody laughs. And I'm like, hey, where's my apology? I must be a fucking genius. You're not looking back now?
Yes, yes, 1,000 times
Okay,
yes.
good.
Especially in the comedy, it's why comedians are so dark with each other. I mean, like we say the most horrible things that you can say about anything, any physical appearance, any physical feature,
Right.
any religion, any whatever. We will say it all because of that same thing that you just described is we see the punchlines coming or we know how we would write it, so we're sort of nodding along like yep, oh yep, that's the
Right.
choice I would make too. Oh, that's a different choice. Okay, good. So in order to get a true laugh out of each other, you have to go to some pretty horrible places
Sure.
sometimes.
Yeah. Holy fuck. How great was that? The piano, the music school teachers, Anna
Oh yeah.
Gasteyer and Will Ferrell, and
Right.
one of the songs that they do is the main part that we all have been talking about lately of a Kendrick's "Not Like Us." Certified lover boy, certified pedophile. He even said it more than Kendrick did during the Super Bowl. A minor, and then they're trying to find the note, right? A
Yep.
minor, A minor, A minor. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Do you did you ever see SNL? First of all, SNL definitely hit or miss, but
Yep.
sometimes there's
Oh yeah.
shows that are 100% perfect. And then
Yep.
sometimes there's like, shit, if this was the first one I ever saw, would I continue? Did when you worked there, did you have friends watch the show and they're like, yeah, I think I'm overlooking into your career? And it's like, no, that's how it works, unfortunately. Give it another chance.
Yes, for sure. And Saturday Night Live, there is such a sense of ownership among people who watch it, right? Especially for the season that you grew up or the cast that you grew up
Right.
watching is yours. And there is a sense of ownership of it, of the sketches, of the material. If you grew up and cowbell was your big thing, like that was the era, and everything after it is always just crap. It's always just garbage.
Gotcha.
You
Yeah.
just have to know that's always going to happen. I learned that the hard way. I mean, specifically remember being in Vegas and like doing some stuff and being at the tables and the dealer the whatever the guy who's working there making small talk. What do you do? I work Saturday Night Live, do this. And he's like, oh, that show sucks. He's telling me all the reasons it sucks. I'm like, oh, that's terrible. When was the last time you watched it? It's like, oh, I haven't seen it in a couple of years.
Right. By the way, can we admit those very early shows were not good? Cheeseburger is not fucking funny. The Beef Family's dumb, and the Bass-O-Matic isn't that brilliant.
Bassmatic has performed pretty well. It shows Danny's chops pretty well. Aykroyd
Okay,
is pretty good at that.
you can have that one.
I will take Bassmatic as being pretty good for the time. I mean, look at a Stephen Colbert in the Colbert Report. Look at one of those scripts. It is so joke heavy. You almost can't go a line without a joke, a sentence without a joke.
Right.
That is how often the jokes are coming. Saturday Night Live in those first early years were that is not how comedy was. I mean, even look at Ghostbusters. Long stretches of time, sort of before there's a joke. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. But there wasn't that need to be having as many jokes, so they would have sketches that were almost a little short filmy. In fact, they would have
Yes.
legitimate short films and like long narrative, like little mini plays, and they were cool with sort of being experimental in that way, where not everything had to be crazy funny all the time. And yeah, a lot of it wasn't good.
I
Now,
didn't I love and with all this said, I see SNL live all the time. I love it live. It's important to me that I see it live. Sometimes
yep,
they do try to fix something. You can't find that skit with Leslie Jones and Chris Rock where she goes, "What the I don't know what the fuck you want me to do. Like, how did she lose her shit?" And they cover that. So I love watching
yes,
it live. I don't like those long form shits. Usually the older stuff. They replayed the one of like the original cast, and Belushi is literally dancing on their grave, and it's supposed to be deep. I don't like the deep shit. I don't get that. I don't get Jan Hooks and the great Phil Hartman
mm,
dancing for an hour. I don't get it. Is it
yep.
is what am I
It,
asking? I don't know.
it's a comedy variety show, and they will feel free at times. They don't do it very much anymore, but at times over the years have been free to explore some different types of comedy. You got the Muppets, you have Andy Kaufman, you have experimental short films, experimental cartoons and different animation, not just the Smigel stuff, which we all know and love,
Right.
but some like they had some weird puppets called the Go Lords that Andrew Steele now um, uh, Will Ferrell's friend in the Harper, now Harper Steele, wrote
All right.
these puppet sketches from '97 to '99. Like they tried different stuff, and I guess I don't mind things that are a little bit different. Like take a chance instead of doing another stupid wedding sketch or a fake game show. Like
I
I don't.
follow.
Yeah.
Do the did you see that movie with Will and his transgender friend?
I have not had shit. Will Harper, who
Yeah.
I knew as Andrew back in the day, but is now Harper Steele, and I have not seen the movie yet.
It's
I
very
hear
sweet
it's
and
great.
not I can easily see that being boring or like
Yes.
duh, I think we get it by now what that means to be transgender person. But I liked it a lot. I think you'll dig it.
Yeah, and I hear it's not. I hear it's not preachy. That
It's
it's
not. I don't
yeah,
think
which
it
is
is.
great.
Yeah.
That's the best way you're going to win people over.
Do have you seen SNL with somebody that doesn't get it and you're like, I can't watch this with you, whether I'm on it or not. I'm like, how do you not know pop culture? I
Yeah.
have a brother. I don't know what algorithm this guy's on, but it's not Planet Earth. And I'm like, hey, if this, I don't even know if this means something to you because I know like you're not on the world's algorithm. But if you understand the Kendrick story, here's the SNL. And he's like, yeah, I'm sure I would get it if I knew the context. I'm like, how don't you know? How do you live and not know the main things about pop culture? Don't they just come to you?
When do you remember the show on MTV called Human Giant?
Yes.
It's a sketch show with Rob Hubel, Paul Scheer, and Aziz Ansari. Very funny show. Those guys got the show in 2000, circa 2005. MTV executives came to them and told them, our audience does not know who Kurt Cobain is. Do not be making Kurt Cobain jokes. That's the type of situation of Kurt Cobain, big in like 93. I don't know, died in 97, 98, somewhere in there. I don't know the exact date. Forgive me.
Right.
But that's the level of pop culture. That's a short amount of time. That's like 8 years from like his death to that sketch show being on, where these people were, kids obviously don't know who these people are. These references, like of course, a Kurt Cobain
Yeah.
reference, a Gumby reference, an A Team, a Mr. T reference, all lost. So I
Meanwhile,
think,
they have the Kurt Cobain sweatshirt. That's interesting.
yeah, seriously, that's a great call. That's a totally great call. So I think sometimes if I struggle to watch the show sometimes with people, it would be people who just don't get the references where it's like, I want to pause it and be like, that's funny because
Right.
and this movie was really big back then. Fuck it.
You think that's how I was watching Severance with Liz? Like I kept pausing it and going, "Here, Google this. You'll see."
Oh. That's really funny. Yeah, exactly.
I'm,
Exactly.
I'm waiting for when it comes to emojis. There's going to be an A minor emoji, like it's going to be the A C and E notes.
That's
you
going to be
know,
funny. Yeah.
we just felt there wasn't enough music representation. No, I get what you're saying. I want to talk about sports for a second, your second favorite topic, but any other SNL thoughts that were on your mind or that I referenced?
Well, it's it's interesting. There's this again this sort of sense of ownership that everyone feels like SNL is theirs, and it's really a lovely thing, and it's very unique. I'm not sure there's anything culturally like it anymore. It's the Super Bowl. It's sort of why sports is the top thing nowadays, because it's the only thing that everybody sort of, sports and politics are a shared cultural language now, and not other stuff. So SNL is special that it still remains, and I do respect that, and I love it so much, and I'm so grateful for it. There is this sense of who they platform, right? I know some people, including recently, on your show, have had a problem. They had Elon on their show.
Right.
Well, now this is pre Elon being political. This is they had him on, and I don't know when it
I
was,
was just nervous
2009.
he was going to fuck with my Doge at the time.
But yes,
I
exactly,
didn't know it was
exactly
you. It
right.
was a dog.
Exactly right. But in 2019, he wasn't a, or 20 whenever he hosted, he wasn't a political guy. He didn't own Twitter yet. He just was sort of a weird dude who's a billionaire, so I know we have to hate them. But so he's sort of a weirdo, and but he was doing obviously great things for the environment. He's a big environmental guy, so I guess we like him for that. And Elon Musk is a fascinating person, whether you hate him. Now we have to hate him because of all the Trump stuff.
Sure.
But before this, there was again sort of the sense that we have to hate him. And why is he hosting the show? Because he's interesting. He's one of the most interesting Americans of the last 25, 50 years. Like him or hate him, there's some interesting stuff going on. Letting him host the show, letting him do some bits, making fun of himself, that's excellent for ratings. It's talking, people buzz about it. People all that week leading up to Elon Musk episode. I'm not standing up for Elon Musk, but I'm standing up for
Right.
the idea of who you put on a show. People were talking about Saturday Night Live all week leading up to the show. No one does that anymore. Like you are you going to be talking about when Paul Rudd hosts the SNL in March? Like who
Right.
gives a shit? He's done it a bunch of times. It'll be funny. I'll watch, but no one's going to talk about it. Go have these buzzworthy moments where people are talking about your show and everything, and I understand casting someone who you don't completely politically agree with. I have had to write jokes for people that I don't agree with. That's the job.
Right.
Like, it's just not everything has to be what we personally like or agree with. And I think sometimes that gets a little bit lost, and maybe we could be a little bit more forgiving. Maybe we could remember to laugh every once in a while.
When a when an Andrew Dice Clay would do that show,
Ugh, yeah.
and who was the female cast member that walked off or wouldn't perform that week? Dunn?
Yeah, Nora Dunn. Very good.
Nora Dunn. Well, I remember that. And
Me too.
uh, do you think, hey, this is the fucking job? In the future, we're gonna have Trump when we really don't like him. So this is what we do. Calm
Yes.
down.
Yes. I know that won't make me I know what show I'm on. I love
Right.
you. I love the show. I know I love our this audience. But yeah, it's a fucking job. Do your job. Make people laugh. You're not saying you agree with him. It's just like, maybe we can get to know Elon a little bit, and maybe he'll listen to your point of view. Maybe he's in the building and will be a little sympathetic, like, "Oh, you made me laugh all week. I like you. Come visit." And maybe he's now thinking differently about some topics that you care about. I think, and again, Elon is the tamer version because he's not a political person. But yeah, I mean, like, why is it okay that certain political people host and others don't? Is it just
I do
because we
love
don't like their
watching.
party?
Right. Like I said, I do love watching it live. In fact, my Liz understands this when it comes to TV that we can text and leave messages during it, but I can't take a phone call during it. And my ex Kyle didn't seem to understand that. I'm like, I like watching this live. Yeah, I know. Like, ring, ring, and I'm just saying goodnight. You know, I love you, good night. And I'm like, yeah, it's weekend update though, and I
Yes,
don't want to pause it, and I need somebody to understand that. Like, why can't I just pause it? It's not that big a deal, is it? It's a big deal to me.
I
I
I
love the ritual so much. I
I
love
love
the
that.
fucking. It's not over even when you hear the end music. I want to see people on stage. Who has friends? Who doesn't? I saw during the 50th anniversary special. Who doesn't like David Spade? But David Spade couldn't catch a fucking handshake. It's very funny to me.
Yes. Keith, I am the exact same way until the final Broadway video logo is on that screen. I am
Yeah,
watching every little handshake, like, oh, there's Bowen Yang with oh, they're avoiding Chappelle, like, oh, there's
yeah.
Juice there. It's like,
And
yeah,
you can find like, and I'm making up all these stories, but I'm like, oh, he must have fucked his wife. Okay, and these guys, they must have made a deal right away. They'll hug each other so that they're not left alone.
right.
I like all that shit. I like the 50th anniversary special. Everybody's on stage saying goodbye. McCartney being the big closer, saying the goodbyes in the middle, and somehow Dave Chappelle found himself up front again.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, I love it all.
Yes. Again, the politics like start the second you turn on the lights in the office Monday morning, and they don't stop until the credits are over.
Yes, yes.
It's
Liz.
magical. It's magical. It's horrible and wonderful, and it's it's irreplaceable. There's nothing like the buzz of being live in front of 8 million people, of making 8 million people laugh, boom, in that moment. And it's like, I mean, you feel like you're a Superman.
Right.
It's crazy. There's nothing like it. I'm sorry, there's just nothing like it.
I just love live shit. Well, this here
Yes.
I'm watching. This is local news, in Philadelphia, showing clips of or live, showing it live, but these are clips from it of the Philadelphia parade
Yeah.
honoring the Eagles. Okay,
Yeah.
let me first of all, I didn't test this with you. Let me know if you hear this. Did you hear that?
No.
Just no.
Can of
No.
Philly.
Oh, you hear that?
That I heard.
Okay, good. So anyway, this is clips of all the different superstars that won the Super Bowl, saying thank you for supporting us.
Okay.
My can of Philly. I was lost as a motherfucker. Shout
And
out,
we
shout out to
apologize for
Jeffrey.
CJ Gardner Johnson's language. Here he is again.
When I left, I cried my ass off. I'm not even gonna lie to y'all, because I miss y'all like a motherfucker.
And once again, we apologize for CJ's language.
We're from Philly. Fuck it.
And we apologize for Brandon Graham. He's pumped up. He's ready to go.
I'm a fucking champion.
We apologize. Of course, we're on live TV, and we apologize for the profanity.
You guys are tough. You guys are resilient. And you guys know how to fucking fight.
And
And we apologize again for Saquon Barkley's profanity.
where's it
Live
gonna
TV.
go?
Oh my
Philly. This city overcomes shit.
And we apologize again for the profanity.
It's almost like they're trying to trick the newscast too. Like, where's this gonna go? We overcome shit.
The profanity.
Is that it?
And we apologize once more for the profanity.
Every fucking game.
And we apologize for the profanity. Back to Landon Dickerson.
She's like, now you say it, dude. I'm done apologizing.
After 22 feeling that loss, I didn't ever want to feel that shit again.
Sorry about that. Landon Dickerson talking about the loss. It's live TV. The emotion is there. Back to Landon.
I just got one last thing to say. Go fuck.
We cut that one off. But if you heard any of that, we apologize. Go Birds is what he said.
Oh my god, that's great.
So funny.
And you're shitting me. They cursed again. And it's also once whoever started first cursing, you know, the rest of the team is like, all right, I guess we can curse, and we are excited. And
Yes.
people in the audience are adults, and they're all drunk and climbing poles. I don't think they're fucking children. They're overturning cars. They're grown adults. So yes, I will. Then people are just building off of each other, and it makes me think of SNL, this recent special, when I brought up Eddie Murphy was at the Homecoming music show, and he just happened to be there, and everybody's cursing. It's all I believe it was only on Peacock, so they can get away with that. And I thought it was important not to bleeping out songs and shit. And especially you start off, I love our boy. Then on the regular show, the 50th anniversary special with sketches, Eddie Murphy's on that. He's on a sketch in the beginning, Black Jeopardy, playing Tracy Morgan. That was brilliant. And then at the end, he's a scared straight person yelling at somebody. I think he thought he could still curse. He's like, you're gonna still do a little bit of weed? I will fucking rape you. I'm like, that's not on a cue card. You got caught up from the other night. I think that's what happened to Philly.
I think you're exactly right on every point you just made. And I will say that's one of the exciting things about Saturday Night Live. Of course, it's live, so if you curse on air, it's out there.
Right.
In 1996, Norm Macdonald said "fuck" on Weekend Update. The next week, like on Monday, they NBC records all of the phone calls and complaints that from viewers.
Right.
That week, from Norm Macdonald saying "fuck" on the air. 3 approvals, 1 complaint. That's it.
Okay. All right.
So, take it easy.
Right. Only 2 people were shot, it seems, so far during the parade. So during the celebration. So not bad.
Great. That's
not
great.
bad. My friend Craig's team lost. He was upset that he didn't have the shootings in his city of Kansas City. But all right.
That would've been nice.
I see Eagles defensive back CJ Gardner Johnson wore a hoodie celebrating the win. The Super Bowl was LIX in Roman numerals.
Yes.
Okay. So his shirt says Swifties, meaning Taylor Swift fans. Swifties can lick my balls.
That's great. Ah, that's great. His face, that smile is great.
Love it. I'll put the picture in the show notes.
That's fantastic.
At least 7 men have been charged in connection with nationwide burglaries of professional athletes' homes, including those belonging to Kansas City Chiefs players Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, they know when you're at work.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it.
Yeah, seriously.
And quick news, 7 more massage therapists accuse Ravens' Justin Tucker of inappropriate sexual behavior. He's the kicker. So he knew the kickers were going to be the trouble.
Yeah, seriously.
Lordy.
5'8" nerds.
Right. Jack, thank you so much for your time. And thank you for the behind the scenes shit. You know, everybody thinks it's like, hey, let me tell you a secret. They stay up late sometimes. Not Jack. Jack will ruin future jobs to be entertaining for us, and we appreciate it. And we love you back, of course.
It's my pleasure. I love you. I love the show. I'm happy to be on. I love talking about Saturday Night Live. It is the thing I'm super passionate about. I'm always happy to come on and talk comedy.
Excellent. Love to your wife. Love to your family. Anything else the audience should know?
I think it did pretty well for having a concussion.
You did great for having a concussion. I want to be honest. Maybe like some guests I have on are better drunk. Maybe I need to hit you up after an accident.
Absolutely. I will let you know when that happens. I don't think people need to know anything else other than the podcast is questionable material with Jack and Brian. We just do comedy. We don't care about anything else. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Your 6'1" head bumps into something and Betsy's like, quick, call Keith. You're going to be very entertaining.
Well, my email address is literally Big Head Jack.
See?
So it's like, it is, I swear to God. So it's, that comes with the territory.
Well, there you go. Thanks again, buddy. Everybody, KeithandtheGirl.com/VIP. Hear the behind the scenes talk with Rod and Karen Morrow. Hear Q&A where we go back in time. And, that big trick where I can replay dirty shit. And KeithandtheGirl.com/dad. Be caught up on that. That is the craziest fucking story ever told, if I say so myself. KeithandtheGirl.com/DAD. And we'll talk to you soon.